Okay, hello. I hope everything going well. It's Tyler Bryden here. You can see I'm in a little bit of a new location. I've been banished to my own basement. Okay, banished is a little bit of a exaggeration. So what's going on? Why am I moving down here? If you didn't know, I'm getting married. Getting married at the end of August 24th. I'm getting married, something that was not on my immediate checklist for a really long time. And all of a sudden, you meet this wonderful person, this interesting sort of biological clock. My theory that it kicks in, starts to seep into the back of the mind, and you think, wow, this is a really nice person, and I can see myself with this person for a long time, and she makes life so much better and all these things. And so last September, engagement, August 24th, marriage, and her family's here. Her family's flown in from India. They got here last week and wanted to make some space for them. So before that, we actually renovated the basement. And we're going to put one of the brothers down here, but some strategic alignment in the house. And what ends up happening is I got the basement to myself. I've also got a nice setup here. I had 2 desktops from when I had an office space. And I thought, hey, this is actually pretty peaceful down here. It's pretty nice. I'm having fun. And I got a little mini tripod. I got a little light setup here. I'm actually pretty happy with the setup. The renovation paid off. I can see the fireplace in the background. Probably a little bit more work to do on some decorations and stuff. But overall, pretty good. Almost as good as my upstairs location, which I'll say has a lot more natural light than down here. But with the lights turned on and everything, this is pretty good. So I'm happy. This is a little update. 1:30 p.m. August 2nd. T-minus 22 days until the wedding. And I've got a cousin's wedding tomorrow, and I'm sitting back here recording a video. So what's going on? Why am I recording this video? Who am I talking to? Who is this for? First of all, I've got a YouTube channel, 2.5K subscribers on it. I'm about one of the most inconsistent YouTube sort of creators that lived. I did a podcast a month or so ago, and I frankly feel like I'm letting anyone who actually cared about what I'm doing, which is a small percentage of those subscribers and people, but I feel like I'm letting you down. 25 views on that last video, also not good. And I'm also, what I'm realizing is I'm rapid prototyping on my OBS system here right now. So if I want to do a screen share, I'm going to have to put this together in real time. You're going to see me switch, and let's drop me over in the corner here. Not as polished as I've been in previous instances, but give me a little break. Let's expand that out a little bit more and make sure that I'm still recording. So yeah, last video on there quite a while ago, 25 views a month ago. And you can see some videos here not doing as well as previous performance. And it is something interesting to me around when I was consistently publishing videos. It seems like YouTube did give you the benefit of the doubt for this idea of like momentum. And I can see some pretty big inconsistencies in the amount of videos. And I've talked about this before, but generally what seems to happen is, okay, OpenAI announces ChatGPT business subscription. You can see the background there. I do a little news post about a video about that. As the sort of news breaks, I can put together that video and it will populate. That is an interesting sort of phenomenon that I'm, fascinated in, something I've really enjoyed doing. But at the same time, I'm trying to figure out who I am. What am I actually trying to accomplish? And if I'm to be creating videos there, something more directionally interesting or valuable to me and to anyone who's followed this channel versus the sort of AI news, technology news that I was doing before. And I'm very engaged in this. So it's not like it's a deviation from what I'm actually interested in. But at the same time, I felt like I was being put on this time clock of news breaks, record video. Part of the incentive was to get it up as fast as I could, not necessarily have that much insight into it, and try to create something good quality. And to be honest, sometimes that worked out, sometimes that didn't work out. But overall, I read this story about it. Let's see, influencers, 15K a year average. This story here, which I found very interesting. Half of all influencers peak at $15,000 per year. This is a pretty small amount of money. I'm making more money running my company, Speak AI. I've made more money with skill sets in the past, analytics, SEO, marketing, all of that great stuff, Google Ads. And the other piece that I talk about is this idea of the pressure that it puts on you to always be there, always be present, always be publishing content. And that's something that honestly it conflicts heavily with the way that I personally want to live life. And so I'm trying to figure out a little bit more of that synthesis. And I've talked about this before. And so if you've watched videos and say, Tyler, you're talking about the same thing, I'm sorry, but this is a constant ongoing sort of thing that I'm working through in my, own journey of trying to figure out who I want to be, how I want to do this, my purpose, all that blah stuff. And some interesting pieces here, like I think when I went pretty heavy on my YouTube creation, I put a lot of time into that, a lot of energy for more than a year and a half. And that's not that long or anything in a time scale. I understand that that's being very impatient. I think I peaked at $300 made. Pretty good. Not going to pay for this house. Not going to accomplish the goals that I'm necessarily trying to accomplish. So how can I merge those two? And if there's a trade-off in time, and as life gets even more busy, as marriage happens, as kids happen, you need to carve out these moments for yourself where you can dedicate yourself to these things that you're passionate about. At the same time, you're trying to, at least myself, combine that passion with income generation. And I think that's a very hard, delicate thing. And we see some interesting things here. Clint, I don't know this person, 400,000 followers, posts that average 100,000 views, but less than the median pay, 58,000. Okay, maybe great for some people, but I'm guessing these are first world problems. These are luxury problems that people are having in a world and civilization that has changed so dramatically, and that really things have gotten so easy. And so we're complaining about, I sit there and I make video game content. I make $60,000 USD, and he's vulnerable and tough. But part of this is about affordability. Part of it is about living expenses. And then the other side of it, which is being constantly connected and feeling that pressure to create at all times. I think it does really burn a lot of people out. And you see even very high quality creators talking about this sort of challenge that actually takes place. So this is something that's on my mind here right now. I'm very lucky to have an income source through the business itself and Speak AI. And I'm very proud to have made that happen and leveraged some things properly. And I've made a lot of mistakes and done a lot of poor things along the way while building this company, including right now my SEO journey, which has been a really tumultuous time since we had a huge spike up in 2023, at the start of 2023. I went a little trigger finger happy with some AI content, and I'm now dealing with the consequences of that, peaking at like 70K people on the site in a month, down to now 16, 17,000. Still a lot better than where I originally was, but that's a huge drop, and that's impacted the business, and had to figure out how do we do more with less leads? How can we make the system better? How can we continue to grow? Do we need another channel than SEO? All of these things start to come into the picture. And I do think things will work out in the end in some way, no matter what. People on my team have incredible skill sets and are going to be fine in their lives. But it's definitely been this interesting challenge. And while I'm rehabilitating the website SEO and all the technical challenges that are happening on the site, it really takes away from the energy, the passion, the time to be able to create. And so that part is what I'm working through. There are people who are so much more motivated, ambitious, talented, resilient, persistent than me. And that's just something that I've come to realize, something that I'm working on. I've been going to the gym a lot and trying to build out some of these habits. One of the habits I'm considering right now is just trying to create a stream, because I find this idea of me recording this video right now and not having to edit a lot very idealistic and something I enjoy. So the streaming makes a lot of sense. And what I'm also trying to figure out is how can I bring other people's perspectives in. So this idea of scheduling this on a linked event, say, hey, here's a couple topics that I'm interested in discussing today. If you want, feel encouraged to join in on Zoom, whatever it is. And then I can really just take that conversation and post that online, and it'll be somewhat topical there. And I've seen some things like that. And I've built up a relatively decent LinkedIn profile there, 5 years and 8 months. So that's one way that I'm looking at this, trying to merge it all together. LinkedIn is my favorite social media platform. I know that's cheesy for some people, but for me, I really actually like that. And I just pretended I'm a professional. So to hang out on LinkedIn seems like a good one. And YouTube has obviously been a channel that I care about a lot, and I think they supplement and cross each other. So if I was watching this video right now, I'd be bored. What am I doing? Who am I watching? Why do I care about this? Tyler's just blabbering on. Plans. what kind of energy do I even have right now? I don't know. So let's take a step back. What's going on in the world? Here's something that I'm fascinated about, been following a lot. Talked about it in previous video. I'm a Bloomberg boy. If I refresh this, let me see how we're looking. Not good. This is a sea of red here now. And what happened today, basically, there was a report that came out and jobs created were a lot smaller than what they thought. And there was also a rise in unemployment. Jerome Powell came out yesterday and said, hey, they're going to hold the rate. And some people said, okay, that makes sense. It's going to happen in September. But this new data came out, and there had been another manufacturing downside surprise earlier the week already too. And so the rate cut was pushed to the September 25 bips on that. And now with these numbers, there's a lot of fear in the market, basically that the Fed has moved too late and that we're heading into recessionary territory and that things may be worse than it seemed. And this data point was one of them there. With that in mind, I think we've got a pretty tumultuous next 6 weeks, which is before the next Fed rating. People are already calling them to do an emergency meeting and cut rates, do 50 bips versus just a 0.25 interest rate cut. And here up where I am in Canada, we've already done 2 cuts, 0.25 each time. That's impacted the Canadian dollar a lot. And really, sentiment hasn't changed that much because of the affordability problems in Canada. And we're also seeing this in the US as well. The other big story that's come out that for me, or what's crazy, is this Intel. So suspended dividends, cost cutting, 15,000 jobs. This is going to impact also the market and the sentiment there, and down 27%. This is a crazy drop. Obviously a company that has been such a big, well-known, culturally important company that has just not really kept up with the technology that is changing so rapidly and some of these other companies that are in the same space now. Yeah, and of course, Taiwan Semiconductor there. I am tracking my own portfolio here now too. I'm not going to pull that up on the screen, but I'm not competing with myself. I'm competing with Wealthsimple's managed portfolio. One point I was up, say 15, 16% this year to date, basically. And over the last few weeks, as this volatility in some of these, especially tech sector, has collapsed, where I put some of my investment, that's came down to, I don't even want to look right now, but I will take a look. Let's take a look, see where we're at it. This is going to be tough. Come on. I'm down to 0.24 all time, whereas my managed TFSA from Wealthsimple has actually continued to expand, and I started a little bit earlier, but up 7% all time. And the last period has been a little tumultuous, but still up 3% in the last month, whereas my managed savings, which I'm doing a dollar cost averaging, you know what? Let's check this out. Okay, here we go. I'm like, something's not right. That's the exact same number. It's down 6% this month. So my strategy not working as well as I hoped or thought. Now it's still over a short period, but where am I getting hit most? Semiconductors makes sense. Uranium, for some reason I believe in that. Not for some reason, but multiple reasons. My copper getting destroyed, and my emerging markets. I want to do some more work around this sort of portfolio that I'm building. I'm not sure exactly how to go through that here now. And one of the things that I care most about is this idea of financial independence. And I've been talking about this a lot with my fiance's brother because he's 25. He's come from India. He's starting to pay attention for this stuff for the first time ever. And I was articulating a few things that I've thought, and basically Monica and I have talked about this before too, made a huge mistake with the purchase of this first house. And we love this house. I'm so happy to live where I am. We went, barely put like 7% down. We did a variable rate. It was over, because we didn't put 20% down, we had insurance that added a cost onto it too. So basically all those three things horribly done. And we overbid on the house, did no real inspection. Luckily, we've been pretty good overall here. And this is a nice neighborhood. In the end, we should even out, but even out is charitable. We cost ourselves $150,000 to $200,000, maybe more, in interest payments, starting at 0.99 interest rate. We could have locked in a 2.39, ended up peaking at 5.99. Now we're back down to 5.49. So huge jump in our payments there and how much income of ours is actually going to housing, which is something that we did not want to do. Something I've been very strategic, only renting, but been trying to be pretty tight with that before. And there's okay in some ways because I have an office expenses, and this is where we both work from home, all that great stuff. But at the same time, we made a mistake that cost us a lot of money. And so I've been paying a lot more attention to markets, watching Bloomberg every day, and trying to figure out how can I work myself through this journey on a path to some financial freedom. And in some ways, that's the idea of downsizing housing. Sometimes as we think about leaving the area that we're living in, which is a GTA, and moving further out, I don't want to disclose the exact location, but along the water somewhere, but some of those house prices are not quite as discounted as what we would like to see. And really, I don't think we can move right now based on the sort of calculus of the house that we have, the investment in it, and if we were to sell, the fees as well as this current selling price, especially I think with the economy the way it is. And right now, what's happening in Canada is not good, to be honest. If I take a look here, we're seeing some pretty significant crashing in specifically the Toronto market, but it's starting to happen everywhere. This is going to take me to the Star, which is probably going to ask for my ad blocker to turn off. Here it is. It's frozen. Can't even do anything. And so this market in Toronto is getting destroyed. We're not directly in Toronto, but we're part of the GTA. And we're seeing relatively, I think, houses in our range, sub $1 million houses, or just slightly over, do okay because there's a audience of people who can buy those. But we're seeing some houses that are more expensive, prohibitively expensive, where it's like, who are these people living in here? Those are pretty intensely not getting bought or getting under market value. They're losing $250,000. All of this stuff, they're 2.5 million Canadian, and they're getting dropped down to 2 million, and then they're not selling, and then they're getting dropped to 1.75, and they're still on the market, not selling. And maybe people don't want to take that hit yet, so they're just staying and laying dormant on it. So I think there's a lot of that right now, and people are thinking it's going to be okay, but the Canadian GDP and the economy is truly horrible, with limited productivity, limited innovation, and basically a government sector that continues to grow and suck people into that segment where real businesses and productivity does not thrive. We've seen a lot of outpouring about that from entrepreneurs here in Canada, people like Shopify, and say that there's a problem here that's taking place, and connect that with all the challenges, whether perceived or real, with immigration, with lack of housing supply. There's a lot of things to consider right now. So it's volatile, it's unpredictable, and I think we're all sifting through a lot of information that is churning at very rapid speeds, trying to figure out what's happening. So I know I'm trying to make sense of it all. And part of that, the way that I do it is to talk, is to process. Sometimes it feels like a little bit of a chamber that I'm in when I'm recording a video like this, but I'm trying to figure out how I can make more collaborative videos. So if you're watching this and you somehow made it this far, you have any ideas, shoot me a message, or even if you want to join. I am going to start to try to figure out this sort of stream, maybe standardize the time, how many times I do it a week, and just make that commitment and do it and hope that it works out. And if anything, the worst case is I have a good conversation with someone, and the bad case is I'm just talking to myself, which is what I'm doing right now here anyways, and I hope that I can create some valuable content and get some perspectives and share something truly insightful there. And in a world that's being populated with AI content, there's so many people creating. The question is, how can I have some differentiation? How can I create some value? And I just don't think there's that much, at least right now, value put on myself, because what have I done? What have I accomplished? Who am I? I'm not some person with all these successful exits in a company or incredible athletic performance or cultural connection. None of that is true. So if you're watching this right now, why would you watch this video? Why are you watching this? Is it the topics that I'm talking about? Is it the way that I'm explaining it? Do you like just listening to someone ramble? These are all the things that I am trying to figure out. And how could I wrap this video up? I've been going 25 minutes already. No one's going to watch this long, so I'm just going to just end this in a vacuum here. I could just say go. Also, I could do some rap music, hip hop, Suno. Going to talk about that in some other videos here too. Some of the great stuff that's happening in AI that I'm more deeply interested in than just breaking news. So thank you so much for checking this out. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.